Hello, how are you? Hope you're good. I'm here to quickly talk to you about what my Magical Readathon Spring Equinox TBR looks like this year and what I'm kind of hoping to read, because maybe it'll be helpful to you. Maybe you're looking for a TBR to steal from, which, you know, is one of the prompts. If you missed it, I will also link the announcement video down below if you want to join us, because you can. It's never too late. It starts in April, so you still have time to put a TBR together. I have 7 prompts that I need to fulfill to continue with my career successfully, starting with Alchemy. The prompt is the volume magnification, and for this one, this is going to be my audiobook selection, so I'm going to be listening to this book. The dungeon crawler Carl. Logan is currently, I think, on the 3rd or 4th book of the series. He was away for work for a week and he was frantically messaging me saying this is a very fun book and I should read it, which is hilarious because I almost got it. I didn't know he knows about it. I think someone else recommended it to him, so this is very word of mouth happening here. He said that it was really fun. He did pre-warn me that some of the humor is a little bit bro-leaning, so I'm going in with that kind of expectation to have a little bit of allowance for that, because again, pre-warned. But in essence, the story is the Earth has been visited or attacked by aliens and it's turned into a massive dungeon, and now people who have survived have to, you know, continue surviving that said dungeon. And our main character, Carl, is one of them, and he is traversing these dungeons with his ex's cat, Princess Donut. I have now heard bits and pieces of this because he is still currently, you know, actively going through the series. So sometimes when he thinks something is funny, he'll just pause an audiobook and tell me about it. He has been reading this through audio, so he has highly recommended me that specific route for this series. So I'm listening to him and I'm going to go for an audiobook. This is a series that was self-published. I think there's maybe like 7 books, maybe even more. I don't quite know. It's been picked up traditionally. I'm very excited for this because it will add a little bit of whimsy into my TBR. I have like a good mix this year. I'm quite excited about it. I think it's quite balanced. I have some more serious ones, I have some chill, and then I have some wholesome. I just think I have a good mix. It's really playing into my mood reader disposition, so I'm quite excited for the TBR this month. The next one is my hype train read. So this is a category for my current TBR that I've decided I'm doing in categories. I'm going into a world I have loved since a long time ago, haven't visited since a long time ago, maybe 2012, but it's been a very long time and I am very excited to revisit. Shocker to absolutely nobody. I feel like I don't really need to tell you, but it is a Hunger Games prequel and we're focusing on Hamish's games. So this is after the Songbirds but before the main trilogy, and I am very much anticipating this, and I feel like it is a perfect time to get into this. I'm actually having to kind of stop myself from reading it before April. I'm hoping I'm not tripping myself up with this and the hype continues. I have since heard really good feedback on this, mainly from Patreons, because I'm also extremely scared of being spoiled for this, so I'm just kind of ignoring the reality until I've read this and then it's safe for me to be out there. I know very little outside of that about this, and I'm happy to go in with just that into this. I am very excited though, and I'm hoping that this is going to be a very fun addition to the Readathon month, going into the world that I feel like, you know, I know pretty well. I've watched the movies many times, I've read the books only once, but super on a high fever. So I don't think anything can compare with it if I reread them now, which I have been tempted. I even bought the box set because my original ones, I don't have them anymore. Didn't pan out, and now I just feel like I just want to get into this without waiting. For those curious, this one looks like this, at least the copy that I got, and I'm very excited for it. It's also a little bit shorter than the previous prequel, which I think also bodes well, because I feel like for these books, I feel like that's just a safer route. It's just a little bit shy of 400 pages. This is my Art of Illusion prompt for book you already planned on reading, because it is going to be our Patreon book club read. This is it, just symbolically. Imagine that this is the dungeon crawler Carl book, and then we have the what? Sunrise on the Reaping. I cannot with this title. For some reason, it just does not quite click in my brain. Now, I also need Astronomy, and this one was a color wheel prompt. So as you may see from this clip that I filmed when I was making the TBR, I got orange. And you know what? I didn't have an overwhelming amount of orange books to pick. I had like Ithaca, I think maybe Fragile Threads of Power does have a lot of orange, but that is so big and also not something I currently want to read. I had the Phoenix Keeper, which I have already read. I had To Be Taught If Fortunate, which I read and loved. I had The Martian, read. And yeah, there was just like not an overwhelming amount of reads that I had on my bookshelves that I either haven't read. And then I had a couple of books that are orange but are not the first in the series, and I've not started. That is just, that would be insane to start to start a series to get to that. Nah. We're going to be quite generous with what we're counting as orange here. So at the first glance at it, like, yes, there's some orange, but I would say that this is primarily like green or blue from the cover, right? However, if you go to the spine and then you turn it around, percentage-wise, if we're doing this, there is a good amount of orange, so we're gonna count it. And also I have like a fail-safe strategy including this prompt, so we have plans. But this is A Prayer for the Crown Shy, which I think is slightly following up from A Psalm for the Wild Build, which is actually the only novella, I think, by Becky Chambers, or the only book actually that I've read from Becky Chambers, which I think I've read everything unless something predates Small Angry Planet. But it was the only one that I actually just did not enjoy, like, at all. It felt like it could have been almost like a little poem instead of being a novella, which is crazy to say about something that is already very short. I was like, this could have been shorter. It just felt like very repetitive and a little bit too on lyrical side of things. You guys know me, and lyricism is just a complicated relationship. Becky Chambers, one of my favorite authors, and they have been lyrical throughout. It's a very thin line for me. Sometimes when I feel like the topic is either too narrow for it and it just becomes repetitive and very, very sweet tooth. I'm more of a savory gal. So that's the reason why this is, I think, the only one that I haven't had read from, at least from the ones that I own. To Be Taught If Fortunate was also a novella and I absolutely loved it. But at least it is short for the purpose of what we're trying to achieve here. And the new series continues to ask, in a world where people have what they want, does having more even matter? It's that kind of thing. So, well, I guess we'll see. We will see. The next prompt was also the randomly generated one, and that is Conjuration, and this is where we go for 5 countries. It definitely wasn't an easy one for me, but I also think it could have been trickier because there were definitely some options. One of them I think was even the one that's like adapted to a movie. It's like Call Me By Your Name or something of the like, which I considered until I stumbled across a book that I actually already have. Who would have known? This one is because I got Turkey as one of the picks. Luckily the author is British-Turkish. For this prompt, I really thought I was going to have to acquire a book somewhere, and it's called 10 minutes, 38 seconds in this strange world. And the premise of this sounds extremely interesting. So I anticipate, though, this is going to be the most serious read of all of the TBR reads, which is okay actually, because normally that is almost a primary vibe from all of my TBRs. But this year I feel like we have a little bit more wholesomeness. But this one, I believe, is going to hurt me, is what I kind of feel. So we follow the main character, Layla, which is interesting, actually. The comic that I read about death in the previous readathon bit was also like the many deaths of Layla Starr, and this is also Layla. Is there some sort of significance with death and name Layla? Maybe there's, anyway, it doesn't matter. I think the 10 minutes, 38 seconds is the amount of time that Layla is dying for, spending those minutes, and each minute brings back some sort of memory from her life. So we're getting to know her at her death while she recalls her life. Basically like your life flashes before your eyes before you die kind of premise, but in a book. And it does say extraordinary, profound, exhilarating, and haunting, moving, beautifully written on the back. So I don't know, I'm expecting to be hurt by this. I do have very high hopes for this because I've not seen this a lot. The bits that I have seen was a very highly recommended. I do expect this one to hurt slightly. So this is our pain of the month. book, and that is for Conjuration. Next prompt that I needed is spells and incantations, and this is the one that had to have a word from your current read title. The current read at that time of planning the TBR was The Color of Magic, so I needed a book that had either the words the or of or color and magic. I wanted to challenge myself a little bit and go for either color or magic, because the or of, it's not cheating, but I wanted to kind of stick to the more challenging part of the prompt. I have gone with sorcery and small magics. I have read a tiny bit of this really a long time ago now. I don't know, like 10-15% or something, so I will be restarting because that was from like an early manuscript thing. I remember just really enjoying it. I remember it having a very wholesome vibe while discussing some sensitive topics to like personal growth and insecurities. It is at the same, it's about magic, but it's also, I think, about two young men falling in love as well. I just remember it being a little bit humorous, a little bit teasing. There's banter, there's fun magic, we are in an academy, and there's music. Honestly, I just remember having a good time and wanting to come back to it, and I just haven't managed it until now, and I feel like this is a good time for me to finally make it happen. This is a Fairy Loot edition, so I thought I'll just show it about for you because I love the artwork. And because Orilium is, you know, an Academy of Magic, it just feels extra fitting. So the base premise is we have one student with like powerful parents who is great at small magics but is terrible at like the bigger grandiose ones that would actually give him any type of status. Another student who is basically his arch nemesis, so this is a little like enemies to lovers, I guess. An unfortunate but obviously fortunate ancient forbidden magic thing happens. Our first guy ties himself to this arch nemesis and they're bound by this. As much as they hate each other, they agree that being caught having this forbidden magic to both of them would end up badly. So now they are off to find someone who is able to unbind them and release them from each other, because basically they cannot, I can't remember what it was, if they can't like stay too far apart and then they get like all antsy. Anyway, there's some sort of magic that's like a slightly proximity, slightly mind control as well, which is interesting. I'll wait for the mood to strike for this and then hopefully have a very good time with it. Well, it has the word magics, but I feel like I will allow that because it's magic, so it's fine. I need lore, which was Book with Witches or the Occult, and I wrote this as one of the, you know, more kind of open-ended easy prompts, and then I followed up with having the most difficulty choosing this book for this. I personally have the hardest time with the more open prompts. Sorry, this is Psionics and Divination, actually. I read my notes wrong. So it's Psionics and Divination's Book with Magic or the Occult. Anyway, this is also, I'm kind of skipping around here now, but this is also the one that I have the plan for doubling up as an orange cover in case short on time and I can't get to the novella and I'm just like scrambling around, but we'll see how I even start. I don't know. Anyway, beautiful edition again, but it is best hex ever, and we have, you know, orange because it's like bricks, and we have orange edges as well, and bricks, we'll count it as orange. Look at those end papers, love them. Cat. This is following a kitchen witch, and then the guy is, I think, is a pastry chef. No, museum curator. Completely different. Is, I think, the best man in a wedding where she is the maid of honor. Unfortunately, she is cursed by, oh, I don't know by whom, but she's cursed. Anyone that falls in love with her is destined to be hurt or heartbroken. They like have a lot of chemistry and like sparks fly, and then she is trying to find a way to break this curse before she gets involved with anything. I don't know. Something of the sort. It sounds really wholesome. However, I wasn't quite sure where this one was leaning, so I looked into some reviews. A lot of people are saying that main character really needed a cold shower because apparently it's quite insta, it's quite like reactive. It's probably a little bit spicier than I anticipated, I think. So now I'm adjusting my expectations and I feel okay about going into this, and I'll see what happens. But this one I also hope is going to be kind of like fun and quick, which will hopefully keep my inertia going, or so I hope. I also have seen this described as quite like cozy, despite it obviously being a little bit like on the spicier end. So I guess I will keep you updated on how this one will go, and perhaps this is going to be a 2 prompt fulfilling book, or maybe not. This depends on how we get along with that. And now for lore, for real, that one was the musical term in the title was also a little bit tricky, but there's so many terms and there's so many like music genres that you can count, like house, for example, as one of the things. Instructions for dancing. Now you might be like, well, dancing is not quite a music term, but I'm also allowing it. But you know what? Also, for those arguing that, the tag underneath, love moves to its own beat, and beat is a music term, so we're gonna go with that. This is also YA, which perhaps is the Hunger Games one YA? That could be YA, which is gonna be a nice thing to mix it in. It is the second romance on this TBR, so it's quite a bit more romance heavy than I think I normally do, but I do think that readathon months are like a great month for me to get through some of these as well, and especially if I'm gonna be in the mood for, so fingers crossed. I've also not read Nicola Yoon since very early days of me doing YouTube, probably like 2016-17. I think it's one of my first romancy contemporary books that I've read, so it feels a little, not like quite like full circle, because I'm not sure what circle I'm going in, but it feels right to come back to it. And you know, I used to be a dancer, so that's like another thing that's kind of calling me to this. The synopsis on this one does not let on too much about what it actually is about a girl. She does not believe in love. As soon as she sees a couple kissing, she can see a vision of them breaking up and the bitter ends. Don't quite know if this was meant in like a hypothetical way or if she actually gets visions, so I don't quite know if this has like a fantasy element to it. It might not. It might just be like trying to be descriptive in the synopsis, not to be confirmed. She meets a hot guy and then she's like, maybe after all, love is real. So it sounds like a good fun. I'm excited about the dancing part of it. I don't know how it's going to translate to a written format. I enjoy dance-focused movies, at least I used to, and obviously dance was a massive part of my upbringing, so I'm kind of excited to also dip my toes into that side of things as well. So this then is my confirmed TBR for the books that I need. Imagine that this is the Carl book. I don't have it physically, which is a pain for a video, and I have, you know, that contingency plan that I can put these two together in case we need to merge something. However, now on the off side of this, if for some reason I do this all and then have time to read an extra one, maybe I will actually try and do the qualification on an opportunity one. If I wanted to go for one extra class and just earn some points that way, I could go for demonology, because I've prepped a book for it, basically, is what I'm saying. I had my other pre-order arrive together with the Hunger Games book. I'm just gonna call it the Hunger Games book because I just, for some reason, I cannot remember the title. That book is Luminous, and this fits the prompt of Book with a Missing Person, because one of the POVs are someone who is missing their robot brother. That sounds a bit less weird once you know that the premise of this book is robots basically are a regular part of our life now. They are some, you know, parts of our family. They are your taxi drivers, they are your dentists and doctors, and they're just fully integrated into the society. This is also set in recently reunified Korea, which is an interesting take as well. And we follow 11-year-old Ruji, I'm not quite sure if I'm pronouncing that right, who sifts through scrap metal in Seoul junkyard, searching for anything that might repair her falling apart body. And then again, a strange pair of siblings who haven't spoken since the abrupt disappearance of their robot brother. And anyway, this is going to be the whole what it means to be human. And you know, those are my favorite type of things to sink my teeth in. I love speculative fiction, and this is one of the newer releases in the genre, so unfortunately forgotten that I have pre-ordered this until literally, I think it arrived like yesterday, so I've already preset my thing and I maybe could have swapped something out, but this also just seems like a really good TBR, so I don't want to touch it. But if I do find a way to get this in somehow and I have time to, this may happen. So I'm just kind of like, it's kind of in here, kind of not. You know, again, as a mood reader or, you know, a DNFer, this might change. I might replace it with something, or I might just get some scrolls to count DNFs. Because again, utilize that emporium, because it is important to make this a seamless and fun experience rather than just feeling like you're stuck and you have to like power through something you're not enjoying. Not the point of the readathon whatsoever. I'm excited to save some dragons with you. I'm hoping to contribute, you know, a decent amount of pages to us getting those dragons. And which one is my most anticipated one? Honestly, I'm anticipating quite a lot of them. I think the Hunger Games one is probably the top, but I'm also very excited to try pretty much all of them, which is good. It's a good sign. But I'm also really excited to delve into the Dungeon Crawler Carl series, mainly because how pretty much obsessed Logan has been. He literally went to bed at midnight last night, and instead of just going to bed, he was like, oh, I'm gonna listen to the book a little bit more. I was like, okay. So he's very enamored with the series. He's having a lot of fun, and it makes me quite excited to delve into that as well. But let me know what is the most anticipated read that you're going to tackle during April. I'm gonna say bye now. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!